Study lesson Hukkat. Hukkat means regulation. Bamidbar 19:1 to 22:1. Haftarah Shof'tim Judges 11:1 to 33. Read Hadashah Yochanan John 3:9 to 21. Adonai said to Moshe and Aharon, "This is the regulation from the Torah which Adonai has commanded. Tell the people of Israel to bring you a young red female cow without fault or defect, and which has never borne a yoke." Vayedaber Adonai al Moshe ve'al Aharon lemor. Zot Hukkat HaTorah asher siva Adonai lemor b'amer. El bnei Israel vayichu lecha bara Adama tmima asher in ba mo masher mo'ala ela or. Introduction. Torah, Hukkat. Imagine what it must have been like to be running from Egypt into the wilderness with all that could be carried and limited supplies and food. Then to have to sacrifice part of what you had, and afterward discover you will not be going into the promised land for who knows how long. Well, we know how long, but this was becoming a difficult journey for them. To put this scripture into context, one should note Jeremiah 7:22 to 26. Adonai spoke through Yirmiyahu, saying, "For I didn't speak to your ancestors or give them orders concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. Rather, what I did order them was this: pay attention to what I say, then I will be your God and you will be my people. In everything live according to the way that I order you, so that things will go well for you." So, with the exception of the Passover lamb before leaving, it wasn't until Sinai that there were instructions to make sacrifices and how to do it. Last week's Haftarah taught the lesson to be careful what you ask for, and there is an example before the time of Samuel where the insistence on making sacrifices became divine instructions. And if you read Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah, it seems to say that we should not have asked for this. There is no indication of sacrifices during the Exodus until Sinai. But there were the Passover lambs in Egypt that could not have been sacrificed in the not yet established tabernacle. The important issue is more about what Adonai wants from us, and the absence of the temple suggests that Yirmiyahu was right, that if we do not sin, we do not need a sacrifice. That being easier said than done is made possible through the chesed of Adonai and the action of Yeshua, who gave his life to redeem us. But it is not permission to do evil. It is to protect us from our own bad decisions. Haftarah, Shof'tim, Judges 11:1 to 33. Yiftach. Yiftach was born from a harlot, had a rough upbringing, fighting to protect himself, and his father would not accept him as a part of the inheritance of his tribe. But when there was a need to fight to keep the land they inhabited, everyone came to Yiftach to ask him for help, as he was a strong fighter. He won many battles and was put in charge. He was eventually made a judge also. Rash vow. Yiftach eventually was faced with judging himself after making a foolish vow before a battle. Yiftach made a vow to Adonai, "If you will hand the people of Ammon over to me, Then whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return in peace from the people of Ammon will belong to Adonai. I will sacrifice it as a burnt offering. Do not sacrifice your children. We are told not to sacrifice our children to Moloch, Leviticus 18:21. But Adonai does not ask us to do this for him either. We are to live according to the ways he tells us. Maybe Yiftach was a harsh judge and felt the need to deal with himself the same as others. It says in Judges, as Yiftach was returning to his house in Mitzvah, his daughter came dancing out to meet him with tambourines. She was his only child. He had no other son or daughter. So Yiftach felt he had to keep his vow. She was the first to come out of his house. Remember that Yirmiyahu was told that Adonai does not want our sacrifices. It would have been better for Yiftach to have trusted in Adonai to support him and not made a thoughtless vow. Where was Yirmiyahu when he needed him? Why did he think Adonai would want this? Of course, Yirmiyahu was not yet born, and Yiftach was human. Today we would not keep such a vow. Thou shalt not kill. While he gave his daughter a brief wait before keeping this vow, we should be careful of our actions and not need such things as sacrifices. Read Judges chapter 11 for the full tragic story. Brit Hadashah, Yochanan, John 3:9-21 and 4:3-30. The importance of worshiping in the right place and for the right reasons is explained in Yochanan when Yeshua encounters a woman at a well who was from Shomron, Samaria, where they did not go to the Temple Mount to worship, but went to Mount Gerizim. When Yeshua asked her to draw him some water, she replied, the woman from Shomron said to him, how is it that you, a Jew, ask for water from me, a woman of Shomron? For Jews don't associate with people from Shomron. John 4:9, Complete Jewish Bible. Yeshua then told her more about herself, proving that he was able to prophesy, and then she said, and Yeshua replied, go call your husband and come back. She answered, I don't have a husband. Yeshua said to her, you're right, you don't have a husband. You've had 5 husbands in the past, and you're not married to the man you're living with now. You've spoken the truth. Sir, I can see that you are a prophet, the woman replied. Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, but you people say that the place where one has to worship is in Jerusalem, the Temple Mount. Yeshua said, lady, believe me, the time is coming when you will worship the Father, neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You people don't know what you are worshiping. We worship what we do know, because salvation comes from the Jews. That's John 4:16-22, Complete Jewish Bible. When he says you people don't know what you are worshiping, it's because the Samaritans had many gods, and instead of identifying the God they were worshiping, they would all just say, the unknown God, because they were all kind of going to the same place doing the same things, and they just didn't know who God really was. Yeshua was a master of midrash, examples that use those who seem to be wrong, but in his parables are clearly righteous. In the first century, those he was talking to would have a bias against Samaritans, who worshipped multiple deities and used a written version of the Torah, telling them less and changing the instructions to allow sacrifices in the high places, as well as not going to the temple in Yerushalayim. Yochanan completes his account of Yeshua with the Samaritan, and then taking the opportunity to enlighten her about who he was, he said, God is spirit, and worshippers must worship him spiritually and truly. The woman replied, I know the Mashiach is coming, that is the one who has been anointed. When he comes, he will tell us everything. Yeshua said to her, I, the person speaking to you, am he. Conclusions. Torah. We learn this from the Torah. While the Torah gives instructions for sacrifices, they were given due to practices already in place and not as representing a need by Adonai, but rather to encourage obedience to more important instructions regarding behavior. Haftarah. We learn this from the Haftarah. We do not need vows to elicit assistance from Adonai, and if we make them, we probably will be expected to keep them. If we make vows that are not in the will of Adonai, we should seek forgiveness for making them and not complete those vows that violate the will of Adonai. Brit Hadashah. While it is a blessing to be chosen, it is not required for righteousness. Even those who have made many mistakes and are not of the chosen people can be rewarded by Adonai. They can also be redeemed by the Messiah, as can we all. The Messiah calls to many and redeems those who listen. Have a blessed week and a Shabbat Shalom.